So very welcome to our session. My name is Shantilal. I'm VP at Devoteam Cyber Trusts, and together I'm going to deliver a talk together with Markus, my colleague. Before going to the topic, I will just introduce, in case you haven't heard about Devoteam. So Devoteam is a global organization where one of our practices is in fact cybersecurity, that we call it cyber trust, because security is all about trust, as you know. And we've got a practice with over 1,000 consultants in 18 EMEA countries where we provide cybersecurity agnostic services to our clients. We have projects supporting our clients in GRC, in security audits through offensive security. Nowadays, AI is a huge topic, so we've got a practice of cybersecurity to help clients to cover risks that are brought by adoption of AI, also managed security, cloud security, and digital identity. So these are the practices that we have at Devoteam. So today we are here to tell you about a story about how a phishing transformed into a crisis, how my colleague and his team managed this crisis. So this is first-hand information for you that can help you to be better resilient on your security practices. And then we'll talk about a resilience framework. So, Markus?
Thank you for the introduction, Rui. So I will give you a little bit of context on all of this. Today I'm talking about Bank 99. This is a small Austrian bank, and I've been deputy CISO at this time. What happened? There was a recent merchant acquisition where the customer base nearly doubled because the ex-ING department was closed down and they combined with Bank 99. This major change was publicly announced, as you know, in all of social media, all of news and so on. And what was happening, we were not prepared, to be honest, what was coming up. We got hit. We got hit by cyber criminals. They started attacking really, really hard, and there were a lot of phishing sites. We have had more than 25 individual phishing sites per day that popped up, day and day and day. Overall, it was more than 1,000 phishing sites that we had detected and have been affected in a couple of months. In the peak in July, it was more than 500 individual phishing sites that targeted our customers. They have all of the different kinds and all of the different appearances. You see, they were popping up all over the other. But as a bank, you have two-factor authentication. You do pen tests, that might not be a problem. How can anyone steal money from someone? Well, the thing is, two-factor authentication is not bulletproof. What phishers nowadays do is they set up so-called phishing sites. A phishing site mimicking the login page of a bank, for example, where they lure the customer to enter their credentials. But it's still not compromised, right? What is happening in the background? Let me tell you. A customer is inserting their credentials, online banking, username, password, and so on, and the phisher is intercepting and getting this data. A lot of times this is happening via Telegram channels, Telegram groups, and so on. And what he is doing, he's copy-pasting these credentials to the real bank login site. Yeah, but then you got two-factor authentication, right? Sure, you have. The customer, after the phisher inserts the data, is popped up with the notification, hey, you have to verify this. This can be via app, via SMS. It doesn't matter too much on a technical perspective. What the phisher is doing, he's prompting the user, hey, this is the number, I don't know, for example, you have to enter 21 on your phone, and that's good. The phisher gets this number, takes it to the real phishing login site, and then he's logged in. I mean, then you have access to an account, but you can't do any transactions, right? Because when you do any transactions, you always have to verify again. That's where the phisher tells the customer, the login wasn't working perfectly, there was an error with the second factor, please do it again. And what is happening is really the customer is getting another push for authorizing a new device. There is no transaction. He's just adding a new device to sign. The issue with that is that the customer, that the phisher then grants access to the account. This is working more or less similarly on all of the banking platforms nowadays. And with this permanent access, he can issue any transactions on home because he can approve them himself. And these phishers, this is not like one person sitting there. This is organized groups working together, fighting for customers. And they really do also care about their phished customers. There's really good customer support often. They sometimes also have some built-in chat function to really interact with the phished customer to get the information as best as possible. When we got hit by so many different angles. Everybody of you probably knows emails where you get them every day from postal services, you get them from banking, you get them from online shops, faked logins that they want to approve something. I don't know, your Netflix credit card to run out, please renew your credit card, and stuff like that. Something you probably also, everybody of you, at one point got is SMS. SMS is an entry vector that is really, really often used, especially in banking, especially for transport, postal services, and social media, phishing, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, they are trying it everywhere. But also Google mail advertising. Everybody of you is aware of the Google ads. First ad placed for a banking phishing site, and that's hard. And what can you do against this? I mean, you can take block lists, you can use features like Google Safe Browser, Microsoft Smart Screen, but you also have to perform takedown measures, which involve contacting registrars, doing DMCA requests, and so on. And they are highly automating. The real question is, how do you find out about those? You often find out because someone is calling customer support and mentioning, hey, I lost some money, I got this email, what's going on? This is highly dependent on the awareness of the customers, and the other thing is intelligence providers. Most of the intelligence providers are not solely focused on the organizations and on this attack vector and lack the context of what's currently going on the TTPs. The issue with that is time. Phishing is really, really fast, and when you get the email from the phisher and you look at it 24 hours later, the damage was already done. So what we were doing is we tried connecting the dots. We tried connecting the IOCs, the information of customers. You always need those. We tried to have a look into the phishing sites itself and to do intelligence on our own. We do a lot of OSINT intelligence, which involves DNS logs and certificate transparency logs. I guess not each and everyone is aware of certificate transparency. When you issue a TLS certificate with a public registrar, could be Let's Encrypt, could be any other, they provide a feed of issued certificates. We use this for example. But we also use some footholds that I mentioned before in Telegram, for example. Telegram communities, IOCs, exchanges, marketplaces, all the darknet that is happening behind the phishing itself. When we connect those dots and to try to attribute this, I've demonstrated it here with Maltego, you get a better picture. You start really quick, really slowly, and at the end you see formations forming. And these formations contribute to groups, to certain groups. But what you can also spot here is there's a connection between those groups. There was at least some information exchanged via a common Telegram group they have in place, so they might work together. Why is this interesting? When you can do stuff like that, you do not have 500 individual cases, but you have 2 or 3 cases with multiple affected sites and can therefore further fight it. Sure, you always have some outliers, you have something that you cannot attribute at first, but when you have a better picture, you can attribute them better. And this is what we do with TTPs and why we try to collect them. So we also have a lot of phish kits, for example. This is the source code the phishers use, which also has their defense mechanisms. This is a faked block site. This is not a real block site. This is something that the phishers set up to lure bots and to lure investigators and intelligence away. But what we can also get for some of them is, for example, the list of phished credentials. So we can extract this, give it back to the customer, that they can save their customers as soon as possible. We combined all of this in a managed service, Devoteam and try to combat cyber criminals and cyber activities in that way. And to combining all of those, we have a huge ensemble of technology and also custom developed AI models on ourselves. And to give you an example on why this automation and speed is necessary to fight cyber criminals, we got an alert that that site was set up at 13:02. At 13:07 we found a phish kit. At 13:30 we found the exploit or backdoor to get access to the back panel. All of these phishing sites have the customer side, the friendly customer side, where they can enter the credentials, but also the fisher side, where they can get the information and set up stuff. And what we currently do is we scan around 50 million pages per day, and we've discovered more than 180,000 phishing sites per day. This is in the area between 400 and 500 new phishing sites that we detect each day. So we collect a lot of IOCs. And who is targeted? I mean, each and every one of you is probably aware. It's everybody. It's every country. It's companies that I've not heard before. Before I started this adventure, sure, you have your all-time favorites. You have Netflix, you have Amazon, and stuff like that. But you also have small local banks and small local postal services. Liechtenstein, for example, they have 30,000 inhabitants. Postal services in Liechtenstein is phished. So what we learn out of this is everybody's a target. Everybody who's providing online services can be a target of a cyber criminal. What we also learn is that speed is king. You have to be fast, because these phishing sites, they really only live a couple of hours, a couple of minutes, depending, but the damages are done can really affect quite fast. What we learn is that we have to change the tactics frequently with the phishers, because the TTPs I previously mentioned, also the phishers are evolving. The block sites are evolving. They use Cloudflare, for example, to combat our operations. What will work today in intelligence might not work tomorrow, so you have to evolve. And what we see is the alert readiness. You have to prepare when the case happens and when it is publicly. And what's important is communicating this with your customers and also with your own teams as soon as possible. Rui, might I?
Yes. Thank you, Markus. Great stuff. So, in fact, what we can conclude by the presentation of Markus is that preparedness, communication, speed, and resilience are the key words that we need to take into consideration when we talk about being resilient towards cyber attacks. Now, one thing that I would like you to think about is, who better than the militaries to speak about speed and preparedness? Militaries have been preparing and have resilient approaches, of course, not just to cyber, but for decades. So in fact, if you think about this, and if you look at the military of US, for example, they use a system that they called DEFCON. Everyone knows what DEFCON is, but it's a simple way to represent the actual risk level of different contexts. Now, what happens in the US military is whenever they define their current alert level. It means whenever they define their current DEFCON level, everyone from the supreme commander until the cook knows exactly what they should do to align the practices and the controls to the actual risk level. And this is not just exclusive of the militaries. For example, if you go to the beach, you've got also a simple representation of the risk, and you know what kind of behavior you should adapt. So why am I bringing this? Isn't this a great idea to implement also in the cybersecurity industry? Isn't this a great way to reach all the users, everyone inside an organization, to represent what is your current risk level, and then all the users and all the techie people knows exactly what we should do? Is a simple way. So nowadays, we effectively have our cybersecurity management, we've got our cybersecurity operations, targeting processes, technology, people, and business. And although we've got several processes and technologies mature, we are still not being able to reach adequately the people and the business layer. And sometimes we just say, you know what, people don't get it. And the question that I ask is, are we using the right language to reach people? So this is the first problem of the actual typical scenario approach. The second problem is, whenever you have an incident, that's great, you will go and you'll enable your critical incident response program, and that's amazing. But what if the incident didn't yet occur, but you are aware that your risk level is higher? What do you do in the meantime? There is a huge gap in between all good and a critical incident. And that's where a system like DEFCON should place. So what we did at Devoteam was we created a framework that is free. You can download it and you can implement in your organization. We call it the Alert Readiness Framework. And what it does is, first of all, it helps you to calculate what is your current alert level within your organization. And second, it helps you to prepare controls that will reduce the probability that the incident happens, and or will help you to define controls that reduce the impact. So the RTP controls are a bit like the ABS system of your car, avoids that you hit, and the RTI controls a bit are like the airbag of your car. In case you hit, it softens the impact that you will get from it. So in fact, when you're acting to reduce the probability and or to reduce the impact, of course that you're reducing the risk level of your organization. So all of this, you can download it for free. You can also go to our stand just next door in case you want to know more about this framework. This framework is free to download, is a contribution for Devoteam. We think that it makes loads of sense. It will help you to be more proactive and more resilient towards your preparedness. Inside, you can find information about what it is about, how to define effectively your current alert level. It's a sort of continuous risk assessment, and then also how to leverage a GRC platform to manage this, because at the end of the day, what you want to do is you want to understand the context, define who participates, and then define the contextual response plan to mitigate your risk. So the ideal approach, in my perspective, in our perspective, is between all goods and a critical incident, you could try to soften the impact or reduce the probability throughout different alert levels. So the controls don't need to be static. For example, you can have controls for identity that you can tweak. You can make them harder or softer according to your alert level. That could be medium, could be high, or could be critical, for example. And you can also implement this in a GRC platform where you could have, for example, I don't know if I will be able to play the video, but for example, you can have different scopes. The scopes could be a different country, different location, or different business process. and then you can see what is your current alert level, and then you can also see all the controls that you should enable or disable or fine-tune whenever your risk level goes up or down. For the more techie people, let me ask you a question. You might have controls, but for example, don't you agree that as your alert level goes up, maybe your logging details should be increased? Maybe you could reduce the number of services that are non-essentials. Maybe you could fine-tune the level of your IPS systems, whatever. So you need to fine-tune this according to your risk level, and that's the purpose. So just to finalize, there are many benefits of being more proactive. You gamify cybersecurity to put everyone on board. It's a proactive strategy, simple and effective. And at the end of the day, I can explain it in a short term because it's a proven strategy from other diverse industries that already use it. So let's unify the language of cybersecurity adopting Alert Readiness Framework. So thank you very much. Markus also, thank you. If you have any questions, please reach us out. Thank you so much.